How did you make the choice to animate as opposed to, because everything else you were using sort of in its natural state, as you put it, letting us feel the photograph, but there you turned it into something a little bit different. So I'm kind of curious about that.
Yeah, the animation was a big decision because that is the only thing that kind of takes us out of Silvio's archive. And there was an original idea to use the original drawings that Prisoners of War had made and almost employ a similar technique. But it kind of came down to, I guess, integrity about the story and how you're telling it. And we didn't want it to seem like Silvio drew those or he had kept those in his archive and there'd be some confusion about, well, where did these drawings come from? So we just said, okay, well, we can't do that, but there's just so much there that, the way that they depicted these situations was so authentic and simple, but like way, way more compelling than even the archival footage. It transported you in a way that nothing else could. So talking with Drew and trying to think about, adapting those drawings, and he was just like, well, we got to keep it simple, like stay true to what it is, and draw these characters for who they are. Looking at the photos, he was able to take those drawings and then use that style to then draw the characters in the film and depict them in the situations that we had. But probably the hardest part of that was it's a documentary, so you have this commitment to truth, but you're depicting real people in the last moments of their life that wasn't documented. So that brings up all kinds of concerns of ethics and how, integrity and tastefulness. And so we had to just gather as much tools as we had, letters from the people, context of the after action reports. I mean, the military documents everything so meticulously. So if you can get access to that, which sometimes you can't, but when you can, that really is a huge window into exactly what was going on. And then it was just a conversation about, how do we capture this moment and what is the truth of the moment. And it came down to just the most simple version of it, which is often the hardest to get at. Everything else was more complicated and detailed, and then you just start to strip it all back until there's one thing left. And for example, on the train, we didn't want to show anybody getting shot, but so we obscured the background, and that's just, if you look at that frame of the soldier or the prisoners in the train there, Drew made the decision to not clearly depict anybody's eyes but Silvio's. And it has this feeling of darkness and doesn't necessarily detail anyone in a way that other than Silvio, because he was the only one that we truly knew what it was like for there. And then that moment where he closes his eyes, because you don't know what happened after that. Until the train doors open. So that was a huge collaboration. That was a big step, trusting this other person to come into the project and help us fill in those gaps. It was a combination of the research and then also just kind of trusting that this will maintain that emotional genuineness. But the first time you see it, you kind of doubt it. And you're like, where are they going with this? And that boat scene is, a lot of people, they get hung up on that, and then they're like, man, if it didn't come back around to that final shot where Silvio steps out of the camp, they're like, I'm not sure the animation, I needed to be on the full journey. And I think that's almost every part of the film is that same way. You can't pull out one piece and expect it to work. So the animation, the score is another example of that, where it fills in a gap that you pull out the score and it's a totally different movie.
Right.
Half the film, the whole film, it's wall-to-wall score.